Whenever dictatorship is discussed in the world, Adolf Hitler is always mentioned as the prime example. His name is etched into world history forever. But do you know what Hitler's life was like before joining the Nazi Party? Hello friends! Today, let's take a look at the journey of the world's most powerful dictator, from his birth to the point where he joined the Nazi Party. Let's see how Hitler's childhood shaped his future. So friends, this story begins on April 20th, 1889, when Adolf Hitler was born in a town called Braunau in Austria. His father's name was Alois Hitler, and his mother's name was Clara Polzel. And friends, Adolf Hitler's mother, Clara Polzel, was Alois Hitler's third wife, and Hitler was her fourth child. The first three children had all died due to various reasons, so Hitler was very dear to his mother. Later, his younger brother Edmund and sister Paula Hitler were born. Actually, Hitler and his mother Clara didn't have a good relationship with his father Alois Hitler. Hitler's mother Clara came from a poor farming family, and Alois Hitler was a distant relative of her. He was much older than her, so much so that she used to call him uncle before their marriage. At age 16, Clara was brought into Alois Hitler's house as a housemaid. After the death of Alois's second wife, Alois married Clara in 1885. At that time, Alois was a customs official, and the family was financially stable. However, Alois was very strict and hot-tempered. He believed in discipline and often treated his children harshly, especially little Adolf, who grew up scared and withdrawn. This deeply affected his personality. In primary school, Hitler was popular and considered as a smart student. Initially, he was an intelligent and good student with an interest in studies, but as he grew older and moved to a different school, he began to lose interest in studies. By the time he reached secondary school, he started distancing himself from others and became more solitary. He started showing interest in war and military life, often pretending to fight imaginary battles. Hitler actually dreamed of becoming an artist, but his father was against him and wanted him to become a civil servant in future, which led to conflicts and even physical fights between father and son. Hitler's father used to beat him. In 1900, Hitler's younger brother Edmund died at the age of 6, whom he loved very much. Since then, he became lonely and short-tempered. His younger sister, Paula Hitler, later said that his brother, Adolf, was very emotional and artistic by nature in childhood. He had a deep interest in drawing and painting, and he often drew pictures of nature, buildings, and people. She also said he was troubled by their father's strictness, but deeply loved their mother. As he grew, he became more serious, isolated, and stubborn. She believed he was once idealistic, but over time his thoughts became extreme. Let's return to Hitler's childhood. Although what has happened so far can't really be called good, but the Hitler family hadn't faced much financial trouble until January 3, 1903, when Adolf's father, Alois Hitler, passed away. His death was caused by a sudden heart attack. That day he was drinking at a local tavern in the morning, something he did regularly while reading the newspaper and meeting a few friends, when he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest and collapsed on the spot. This incident took place in a town called Leonding, Austria. At that time, Hitler was only 13 years old. Alois was a government employee, so after his death, Hitler's mother, Clara, managed the household, with the help of her husband's pension and a small piece of land. After Adolf's father's death, Hitler didn't feel much sorrow, because there was no longer any pressure on him to become a civil servant. His mother, Clara, gave him the freedom to pursue drawing and painting. Gradually, Hitler started hating school. He became undisciplined, stubborn, and weak in studies. After his father's death, his mother sent him to a real school, a technical school, but Hitler failed there. His mind was only on drawing, painting, and history. He would spend hours creating scenes of armies and battles. He often argued with his teachers as well. In 1905, at the age of 16, Hitler completely dropped out of school and told his mother that he would become an artist. In August 1907, at the age of 18, Hitler went to Vienna. For the first time, to apply to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. However, he failed the admission test. The exam board stated that he lacked creativity and suggested he become an architect instead. December 1907 was a very painful time for Hitler. Adolf Hitler, the future dictator, deeply loved his mother, Clara Hitler. Although his childhood had been stressful due to his father, Alois, his mother was a symbol of love, compassion, and support for him. Hitler considered his mother to be more than just a mother. She was the only person to whom he had a true emotional attachment. At that time, Clara was diagnosed with breast cancer, but the treatment for cancer was very limited and painful. Clara was being treated by a Jewish doctor. Yes, Jewish. Named Dr. Eduard Bloch. At that time, Hitler devoted all his time to caring for his mother. Paula Hitler, his younger sister, later said about her brother that when their mother was ill, he used to cook food himself, feed her with his own hands, bring her medicine, and stay up at night to take care of her. At that time, doctors had advised Clara to sleep in a warm place, so she slept in the kitchen, and Hitler slept there too beside her in the heat. He spent the entire day by her side, even though they were going through a difficult financial situation. Dr. Bloch also said he had never seen a son love his mother as deeply as Hitler did. He described Clara as a gentle, kind-hearted, and deeply religious woman. Despite her intense pain, she never complained. Despite Dr. Bloch's best efforts, Clara died on December 21, 1907. Hitler was devastated. He told Dr. Bloch, "I have lost the one thing I truly loved in this world." For days he remained withdrawn, sitting alone in silence, speaking to no one. Yet, Hitler still sent Dr. Bloch a heartfelt letter of thanks. Even after becoming the dictator of Germany, he never forgot Dr. Bloch and gave him special protection, despite his being Jewish. In 1908, Hitler went again to Vienna to apply to the Academy of Fine Arts, but he was rejected once more. At that time, he was an unemployed and directionless young man. He lived in homeless shelters in Vienna, sometimes sleeping in train stations or parks. He survived by selling postcards and paintings. It was during these years that hatred, anger, and extremist thoughts slowly began to take root in him. At that time, Hitler's younger sister, Paula Hitler, who was just 11 years old, began living at a school with the help of a relative and state support. Later, she also received financial aid from an institution similar to an orphanage. After Hitler rose to power and became associated with the Nazi Party, he advised Paula to live under a different identity to avoid media attention and harassment from opponents. She changed her name to Paula Wolf. Wolf being a nickname Hitler liked and often used. Though he provided her with financial support, their relation remained very private and limited. Paula never participated in any of Hitler's political activities. From 1909 to 1910, Hitler lived in confusion, poverty, and homelessness. During this time, he began reading books and political articles that promoted extreme ideas of German nationalism and hatred toward Jewish people. Vienna was a multicultural city, with a large population of Jewish merchants, writers, and artists. This diversity did not sit well with Hitler. He started blaming the Jews for his own failures. Actually, not all the professors at the Academy of Fine Arts were Jewish, most of them were Catholic and of German-Austrian origin. So, it's unlikely that Hitler's hatred toward Jews originated at that time. Between 1911 and 1912, Hitler's dream of becoming an artist had completely died. He began to consider himself a thinker, but without any guidance that he began adopting the anti-Semitic views of figures like Luger and Schonner. At that time, he had almost no contact with people. He only communicated with his own thoughts. He started to see himself as a harbinger of future change, and the dream of power began to take root in his mind. In 1913, Hitler had grown tired of life in Vienna and came to view the city as one of Jews and the weak. Vienna was a prominent city in Austria, and at the time military service was mandatory for young men in the country. However, Hitler considered himself German. As both Austria and Germany were German-speaking nations, he had been raised in a conservative, German-speaking Catholic household, and had been fascinated with German history, military power, and national pride from a young age. Hitler regarded the Austro-Hungarian Empire as weak and did not want to serve in its multi-ethnic army. He was also afraid that during the conscription examination, people would discover his poor health, which he believed would bring him shame and humiliation. To avoid this, Hitler fled from Austria to the German city of Munich and began living in a rented room. Hitler later said, "Munich made me feel for the first time as though I had come home. The city of the German soul." Initially, he continued to draw pictures on postcards and sell them. In Germany, Hitler was living illegally under a false identity. In January 1914, Austrian police discovered that Hitler was avoiding military service and called him back to Austria for legal action. Hitler went to Austria but cleverly managed to escape. There, he deliberately feigned weakness, illness, and incompetence. The doctors concluded that he was unfit for military service, and so he was excused from it and returned to Germany. World War I began. In August 1914, Hitler volunteered to join the German army, and his application was accepted. At the time of enlistment, he was 25 years old. It was surprising because he was an Austrian citizen, yet he was accepted into the German military service. During the war, Hitler was assigned the role of a message runner, a job that involved delivering messages between the army headquarters and the front lines, which was extremely dangerous. He had to run through gunfire and bombs. Hitler participated in the 1914 Battle of Ypres, the 1916 Battle of the Somme, and the 1918 Battle of Passchendaele. For his bravery, he was awarded the Iron Cross Second Class in 1914, the Iron Cross First Class in 1918, and the Black Wound Badge. In 1918, Hitler was injured in a gas attack, which temporarily caused him to lose his sight. While in the hospital, Hitler heard that Germany had lost World War I. This was a major shock for him. He believed that the defeat was due to the Jewish socialists and traitorous leaders. This marked the beginning of the deepening of his anger and hatred. After Germany lost World War I, a new democratic government was formed, but Hitler was not completely sidelined. The new government feared the spread of communist movements in Germany. The military assigned former soldiers like Hitler as political spies. He began attending meetings of new political parties. In September 1919, Hitler joined the German Workers' Party and was influenced by its ideas such as German pride, anti-Semitism, nationalism, and more. After objecting to a speaker's comments and delivering a powerful speech, the party's founder, Anton Drexler, was highly impressed by Hitler and invited him to join the party. Soon, Hitler started promoting the party's ideas and gained recognition for his oratory skills. In 1920, the German Workers' Party was renamed the Nazi Party, and Hitler became the prominent face of the party. He designed the party flag, the swastika symbol, and the Hitler salute. At that time, he served as the propaganda chief, and in 1921, he became the leader of the party. After joining the Nazi Party, the world knows that Hitler failed in his attempt to seize power in 1923 and was sent to prison. In 1933, the Nazi Party came to power, and Hitler became Chancellor of Germany. In 1934, Hitler became the President of Germany. In 1939, he attacked Poland, which marked the beginning of World War II. From 1941 to 1945, he initiated the Holocaust against Jewish people, in which millions of people were killed. On April 30, 1945, Hitler committed suicide with his wife Eva Braun. There are many interesting facts related to Hitler. For example, most people think that Hitler was a priest before coming to Germany, but this is not true. In fact, Hitler's mother wanted him to become a priest when he grew up. He attended an early Catholic church school and used to go to church and sing religious hymns during his childhood. However, over time, his belief in religion faded. It is said that Hitler always kept a picture of his mother with him. According to several reporters, he would often look at his mother's picture and sit quietly. After Hitler's death, a picture of his mother, Clara Hitler, was found on his table. Often, the name of Hitler's childhood friend, August Kubizek, comes up. They were quite close friends during their teenage years. August wrote a book titled The Young Hitler I Knew. He says, "The boy who once sat next to me, crying to the music of Wagner, became the cause of the world's greatest war. I never imagined that my emotional, imaginative friend would shake the world." In 1938, when August and Hitler met again, Hitler emotionally told August, "I spent the most beautiful moments of my life with you." There was a time when Hitler was also an ordinary person, chasing his dreams, deeply loving his mother, and wanting to become an artist. But when his dreams were rejected, when he had to endure pain alone, the person changed. And along with him, the future of the entire world changed. What do you think? Was what Hitler did solely his work, or was it a result of the entire society? Share your opinion in the comments.